Let's talk to Ricardo from ActivTrades. Very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Where on earth do we begin today? Let's talk a few words on the stock market. We've obviously got the US earnings season ongoing, but that seems to be sort of secondary to the price action. We're seeing big swings to the downside. NASDAQ in particular caught my attention, down 4.5% overnight. Do you think there's fear on the streets at the moment?
I think there is an element of fear. Investors perhaps feel that Goldilocks area that was all was perfect for the stock market is now is no longer there. So there's been a bit of a sell-off in the markets. I don't know to what extent it can be seen as a correction, or if it is the beginning of something more meaningful, of a longer lasting trend. It's interesting to see what is going on. Perhaps the Fed's policies have something to do with it. The outlook at the moment is for the Fed to keep rising interest rates. More than likely there will be another one in December, and possibly even 4 during 2019. So the way it stands, yields in treasuries are also rising, or have been staying comfortably on the 10 years, for example, comfortably above 3% now for a couple of months. So it's not really surprising that many investors feel that Goldilocks period came to an end, are looking into the yields generated by other asset classes and just think, all right, I'll cash in on my profits on equities and I'll move on to the next thing, because, you know, let's face it, 3% risk-free is not bad.
Yep. Totally agree with that. Yeah. Let's talk about oil. Obviously, we've got this situation with Saudi. Are we going to get to $100 anytime soon?
Well, judging by what's been happening during this week, the last few days, I would say maybe not yet. The American stocks once again came up above expectations, very, very healthy, very high. Despite the sanctions on Iran, we don't seem to be feeling too much of a repercussion in terms of scarcity of availability. So there's still availability in the markets. And also there are other fears. I mean, we have to look at the wider climate, and you just talked about the sell-off in stocks. You know, the financial markets at the moment are behaving in a more conservative way, and that also seems to be having an impact on the way oil bulls behave. So it is possible that oil will resume its progress towards maybe $80, and then who knows where it can go. You mentioned the situation in Saudi Arabia. It seems to be fizzling out for now. It was interesting to hear the Crown Prince Mohammed bin, anyway, I forgot his name, but the Crown Prince yesterday saying that the crime committed against Mr. Khashoggi was a horrendous thing. So maybe behind the scenes there are big efforts being made to re-establish some peace, and maybe he will stay in power, and then he will resume his agenda, which is the 2030 agenda, where he sees Saudi Arabia free or more free from oil dependency and diversifying into other lines of businesses. Although judging by the turn-up for their conference this week, the so-called Davos in the desert, is not starting off very well. But I don't know to what point. I know that Saudi Arabia and other major oil producers, they have very young populations that are used to having the state looking after them, and that has been causing quite a deficit in their in their budgets, and they need higher oil prices. But at the same time, they have to be realistic and look at the wider world situation, geopolitics, and perhaps be a little bit more conservative in their quest for a higher barrel price.
Okay, let's talk about Mrs. Theresa May. Again, she's still in power. Brexit. Yes. What are you thinking?
Well, it was interesting because yesterday the pound suffered quite a drop. This came on the back of some rumors. Once again, there's always rumors that a group of more strongly pro hard Brexit people in their own party, within their own party, were planning to challenge her leadership and position as prime minister. Once again, we saw high-profile individuals within that group, like Jacob Rees-Mogg, coming up and using conciliatory words and saying, "Oh, we need to support Mrs. May during this process. We must not threaten the unfolding of the Brexit process, etc." I don't believe that we are seeing the reality, what goes on behind curtains. I think there's a titanic struggle between these two factions within the Tory party, and Mrs. May is trying to maintain an equilibrium. We've heard about 95% of the negotiations being done. Of course,
well, I'm not actually sure what that means.
No, I mean, I don't know either. I mean, what's the 5%? Well, the backstop, the Irish border issue, probably. Looking at the way the pound is behaving, and that's probably the more substantial fact that we can look at the moment, I'm led to think that the markets are pricing in an increased chance of a no-deal Brexit, and we are probably closer to that outcome than we were 3 months ago. That's my opinion. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the coming months. One thing is for sure, come March 2019, there will be more clarity, even if it is just a clarity in terms of knowing that the decision will not be taken until a much later stage. Yes, exactly.
Mr. Trump and the Fed, what are your thoughts there? Is he fair being critical of this interest rate path?
Well, I mean, yes. No, it's not fair. I don't think so. There's talks of him regretting nominating Jerome Powell for the chairmanship of the Fed. I mean, in all fairness, there is an angle to what he's saying that makes sense, but you have to see it from where the Fed stands, as a matter of speaking, and look at the facts. So unemployment 3.7%, growth 4%. They have to take measures to avoid the economy overheating. Otherwise, inflation, as we know, is going to go through the roof, and then that will have all sorts of repercussions, and in the end, hit everybody. I mean, Mr. Trump is going through a period in the political cycle with the midterm elections coming up, and then the risks that could come from there to his own presidency, because if there's a Democratic Party win, he may be exposed to, for example, impeachment or an impeachment process being launched against him. So a lot of what he's saying is political rhetoric. So he wants to gather the troops, so the electoral troops behind him, is campaigning strongly at the moment. And I mean, what is happening at the moment, to a great extent, is the result of his own actions. I mean, he created this sugar rush for the American economy with this tax.
And he's talking about another one, to be fair, isn't he?
And he's already talking about another one for medium income earners. And I think it's all politics, and I don't think it's being fair. I think Jerome Powell's chairmanship of the Fed has been aligned with all the expectations that people had about him. No one thought he was going to be a dovish chairman. So no, I don't think it's fair.
And finally, your favourite or your least favourite currency pair?
I'll go for cable at the moment. There could be some interesting action there. We may. I know that I keep repeating myself when we talk about the pound, but we may very soon see a more clear and defined situation regarding the Brexit negotiations, and I think that will have quite a dramatic impact on the pound. So the pound, although it's been with a bearish trend, you could say it's been pretty much lateral. I mean, nothing has happened yet. And should there be more substantial announcements or a political crisis in Westminster, we could see the pound either rising towards rising towards 140, or if the news are bad, maybe dropping towards 110.
But it sounds like you favour the call options for the upside, not going with the crowd and buying the put options for the downside.
I would, yeah. I mean, I would say that actually I would wait and see at the moment. And to be honest, I don't think we have clarity on that at all.
Understood. On that note, we have run out of time. Ricardo, nice to see you.
Nice to see you.